Well, folks, we are back at this Volkswagen Beetle here that I am converting to EFI, and today I'm going to try and tackle both the fuel system and the idle air supply. So we've got the idle air valve installed, so it's just a case now of hopefully running a few pipes. Okay, so I'm going to start by just kind of loosely mocking everything up. So it's just going to go on there for the moment, just loosely, and then I'm going to make a mark on the pipe as to where we need to cut it. So what I'm going to do is there's going to be a T-piece in the middle here. So the pipe is going to come up here to the middle, and there's going to be a T-piece that goes down from to either carburetor. And the reason I want to do the T-piece is to keep the pipe run even. And I'm just looking here, we will have more than enough length on the pipe, which is great. So that's something I was actually concerned about. Mildly concerned, in fairness. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a great big deal. But yeah, so I'm actually thinking I could actually probably cut that now. So let's get a couple of pipes, pipe unions put on there, and the T-piece and all that, and then we can start, as I said, getting the smaller bore pipes in here. That's all of the wiring we haven't used yet. We put that out of the way as well. And we're going to have to revisit the situation with the fuel rail on this carburetor over here. See, one of the problems I'm facing is I think the frame horns are actually slightly twisted on this engine. And this is not something that's going to be uncommon when you're talking about a 1915cc engine. This car was never designed to have that. So the torque of the engine has just twisted the frame horns ever so slightly, which is why it's more over on this side than it is on this side. I'm looking at a thing called a Kafer cup bar, which will basically tie the frame horns to the upper shock mounts and hopefully sort that problem out for me, but I haven't got that yet, so that might be something I'll do further down the line. Anyway, right, back to the task at hand. How much difference it really makes having the pipes at equal length is debatable. I just want to do it because, apart from neatness, I just think it's good practice, really. So a little spray of UB40 in there, and get our T-pieces in. These are a tight fit. Right, okay. There's that one on. And this is going to come down here along the top of the fan shroud. And the other one will come down the fan shroud on this side. We can shorten them up a bit more there once we've got the 6mm pipes connected. But for the time being anyway, they're not bad. Actually, I'll probably have it kind of in behind the fan shroud a little bit. Yeah, like that. And then we'll get a cable tie around this as well to keep it out of harm's way with the fan, because obviously the being an air-cooled engine, the fan is pulling in behind all this. So let's get this on anyway. Now the other thing you could do, and to be honest with you, I probably should have done, is heated up the pipes in a bit of hot water. You know what, I think I'm going to just go and get myself a cup of hot water and do exactly that, because I feel like I'm battling with these now, and even that's not on as nice as I'd like. Okay, so they've been all soaking in water, and this is the last hose connection to make. And definitely goes on a lot easier. Still not the easiest thing in the world, but and have all these done as well. So this is our idle air pipework all sorted, so we can actually connect this into the carburetor now. Or the carburetor, what am I talking about? The bleeding throttle bodies. And what I set out to achieve, I did achieve in having all of the pipework in equal length. At least that way then, if we do have any issues with idle, we can rule that out as a possibility. Okay, that's the idle air pipework in and sorted. So probably a couple of cable ties will all sort it out and get it into position and that as well, but it's fine. So now, next thing we need to look at is the fuel system, and this is going to take a bit of doing. So before I moved on to the fuel system, there were a few things in the background that I wanted to kind of try and work on. Another costume change means it's another day, by the way. This certainly has taken a good bit of time and effort on my part, but you will see now I now have a throttle linkage, and I was able to reuse the bell crank linkage, and I was fairly insistent on that. It turns out there is a way of getting these throttle levers off. They're actually held on with a tiny little grub screw, which is a pain in the ass, to be honest with you, because trying to get the bloody thing out without rounding it out is not the easiest thing in the world. And that's when they're new. When they've been on the car for a while, God knows, I don't think I'll be getting them out at all. But anyway, the sacrifice was that I had to remove the return springs on the throttle bodies. I'm going to just show you now what I did. So the grub screw is actually in there. You can just about see it, and it screws into this little plate that's actually sticking through the side. So that's what's holding the throttle lever on. So I was able to get the grub screw out and remove these. And when I removed them, I was able to put the little plate that comes with the bell crank linkage in behind that. And in order to do that, what I had to do is I had to use a Dremel just to enlarge the hole, because it's ever so slightly smaller than the spindle in these. So I wanted to keep the D-shaped profile though as well, so that it was still going to work right. But anyway, that was all done, and I put it all back on without the return spring, as I said, and it means now that, as you see, that's working fine. But what I will do is I'll get a return spring onto here and probably bring it up to something that will be on the air filter base, but we'll figure that out afterwards. For the time being, that's a win. So that's one thing done. Now you'll also see I have one fuel line in here, so I actually did put one of the fuel lines in just to see what the routing was going to be like. So that's actually going from here, down under there, round the back, up over here. You can just see it in the background. It's this pipe here. Comes down and goes over to here, and that links the two throttle bodies. So that's going to be our fuel inlet on that side there, and our fuel return will be on that side there. So we need to bring a pipe from there over to the pressure regulator, so that the pressure regulator goes on the return side, and then you will see the original pipe for the fuel is down there, and that would have been the fuel supply pipe originally, and that's going to be our return pipe, and we need to run a new line down the length of the car up to the fuel tank. We also need to extend the wiring and install the fuel pump as well, and then we'll be able to get the tank back in. So actually setting up the fuel system is going to take a bit of doing in itself. So that's why I didn't want to kind of burden this video with all sorts of little bits and pieces or things that, to be honest with you, filming them would have taken ages, and really it's just me kind of noodling around and scratching my head and trying to figure stuff out as I go. And I've also got a new distributor cap on as well. So we did little bits and pieces like that. So progress is being made. And under here you will see I've also got the lambda probe in. So that's in there. And the wiring goes up over the oil filter. Down under there. The module is actually cable tied up in there. And then the wire goes off into the car over there. And I will tidy up all that wiring and just cable tie it in place. And we'll get some conduit for it as well. And on the subject of wiring then, basically everything is actually wired up as it is now. So we have it all connected. The air temperature sensor is the only thing that isn't in position, but I've stuck the air temperature sensor in the plug anyway, so it's going to get a reading and it will work as it is, but it's going to be going into the air filter housing eventually. And then once we've kind of got everything in position, then we can start kind of trying to tidy everything up. But as I said, next thing to do is get that fuel line installed. Okay, so there's the fuel return all set up, and going over to there, onto that banjo fitting. And then this lad here is tying the two carburetors together, as I said, and the pipe that goes on here is going through the original fuel pipework that's in the car, going down through the centre of the chassis. That pipe actually was replaced recently, so I know it's decent enough, but we do still need to run a new pressure line. And that's where this stuff comes in, and no, I am not making a still. So first thing I want to do is straighten all this out. Garage is like a bloody bomb site. When I get stuck into projects, all that ends up happening is I just, all my tools go all over the place. I kind of put them down the way I'm going, and I just try and make progress, and then I can tidy up afterwards. What I'm going to do is I'm going to feed the pipe in through where the wiring is coming out as well. So it's going to follow the same path as the wiring. And what we'll do then is we'll cut it off and just have it coming up here. Just below where the fuel pressure regulator is, and then I can put a little flare on it as well, and that will stop the pipe from popping off. So I think it'll look neat, and it'll be out of harm's way. So I'm going to feed it into the inside of the car, and then I have a load of P-clips as well I'm going to use for screwing it into place. I have way too much of this stuff, but I don't want to cut it until I have it all in position. The reason I got so much is so at least I have some in stock when I need it then in the future as well. And obviously you can see it's coming through here now. So what I'm going to do is bring it down here, down along here, down to here, and then I'm going to run it down along the inner tunnel here as well, keep it out of harm's way. So and then there'll be P-clips every, say, foot, and that should do the job. But first thing we need to do is we need to pull enough of it through. So it's later in the evening for me now, and I've gotten quite a lot done today actually. All of the wiring is now actually finished, aside from putting in the ECU. So technically the engine will crank over and we should have spark and everything. Well, aside from the fact there's no HT leads on it. But a small detail, you know. But other than that, all the fuel system is in as well. So we have fuel supply and return, but there's a couple of little bits still to button up. Now, I know I said I was going to run this down the centre of the tunnel, but it's actually a bit on the unwieldy side of things, this stuff. So I do need to tidy this up a little bit here. But it's in place and connected at both ends and going down along the outside, just above the heater channel. And then it actually switches to the rubber hose here. And the reason for that is I kinked the bloody thing further up. So, yeah, it was kind of needs must sort of thing. But anyway, I was happy enough with it, to be honest with you. I mean, it wasn't the end of the world. It's still a tidy enough job. And then when you go under the bonnet, you can see here we have our fuel pump in, and the wires are going onto that as well. So I've extended the wiring harness, filters in place as well. Now, I did get reducers for the pipe diameter, and I don't know what the hell I did with them, so I'm going to have to try and find them. For the time being, that's just on there loosely, but it will be, there'll be a reducer put in here, and that will be the right size pipe going onto that. So that should do the trick. Now, last thing in the puzzle for the fuel system is to get the return hooked up, and that's why I have the car up on axle stands on the front now, because I'm going to shimmy in underneath it. To be honest with you, I kind of got stuck into this car before I kind of thought actually the ramp would be handy, and by then it was already immobile. So I'm crawling around in my back, but look, it's not the end of the world. So what I want to do under here is I want to take out the facet fuel pump, which is just above me here. Take that out of the equation and get rid of the pipework and everything like that that's going to that. And then we can take out the filter and everything that's also under here, and we can actually start running the pipe that goes from the chassis, from the pipe that goes through the chassis up to the return line. And then that's basically our return path actually finished, because none of this is actually going to be used anymore. So let's get stuck in. Okay folks, I have the ECU in my hand and it is time to plug it in, because I've put petrol in the tank and I want to prime the fuel system and see how we're looking and actually put some power to it. Now, I'm not going to start it yet. I still actually have to put the HT leads on, and I imagine the timing is a mile out, but for the time being anyway, let's see how we go, and then once we're happy there, then maybe we can go for a start once I've got the HT leads on. And there it is, plugged into the harness. Now, obviously, as you can see, I still do have a long way to go to have the car actually roadworthy, but this is big progress. Okay, let's turn the key. Okay. Stuff happened. Let's see if it's pissing fuel out all over the place. Check all our fittings. They're all dry. It's all good. Okay. That's all looking good. Right, HT leads are on, aside from one of them which is a bit precarious because the collets weren't on the spark plugs and these HT leads do need them, but I managed to find 3 of the 4 collets. I'll find another one, but for the moment the HT lead is just on the plug. It'll probably fall off, but anyway, let's go for a start, see what happens. Not a great deal, but I would imagine the timing is a mile out, so let's just try and get it into the ballpark. Typical bloody batteries going dead now. It should be it there, in around that point anyway. Let's make sure we have all of the other connections on. I know there's a scientific method for doing this, but I just want to see if I can just get it to at least kick. What I might do is actually connect up a timing light to it now and just... See, the problem is I've no way of cranking it really, and sounds like a job for another day, to be honest. Let's just try it a couple more times. All right, I'm gonna give it a fighting chance and just give it a little bit of throttle. I mean, I suppose I probably could use it in fairness. Let's see what happens. The timing is miles out anyway. Straight away we could tell that. Right, let's see now. Timing light on it and I'll start again. This is progress. Excited now. It's just easier sometimes using a different battery. Now let's see what our timing is looking like. Don't cut out on me. I just need to get it in the ballpark so I can run it so I can check the timing. There. Okay, I think I've done enough now at this stage, to be honest with you. I think next is to get the laptop out and start going through the software side of things, try to figure out exactly what's going on and what we need to do to get this car to run right, because obviously things are not set up well at all, and that's part of the reason. You can see the black smoke coming out the tailpipe and everything as well. So yeah, I mean, we're at nothing at this point in time. So let's shelve it at this point, and we'll pick it up in a future video. So I hope you'll join me for that. Please hit the subscribe button before you go. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in a future video. Chat to you soon.